Happy Friday. Make sure okay, it's connected. Sorry for the delay in announcing what I was making today. I decided not very long ago. And I hit the store this morning. We're going to be making challah French toast today. Hi, Jennifer. If you haven't seen challah bread before, I know I hadn't before I moved to New York. It's this really beautiful braided, soft, fluffy bread. So this is a loaf of challah. I just picked this up from the grocery store. I went to Stop and Shop. They have it at most places out here. I'm not sure about all areas, but I first had French toast made with challah when my husband made it for me back when we were dating. And oh, good. I'm glad you love French toast. So my husband made it when we were dating with challah, and it's like so fluffy, and it gets a nice crisp on the outside. Hi, Mom. Happy early Mother's Day. My mom lives out in Indiana, so I won't get to spend Mother's Day with her this year, but technology is good. We will Skype or whatever. So this is challah. The recipe that I have calls for like a 15-ounce loaf. This one is a little big, so I won't use the whole thing. This one is like almost 1.5 pounds, so this one's a little bit large. And I wanted to show you, you can do this in a skillet, but I'm going to use a griddle. And the griddle I've had this since like 2005. I'll show you up here. The griddler, it's a Cuisinart thing. It's like a panini press and a griddle, and we use it for pancakes and French toast and paninis, and you can use it like an indoor grill also. We got it as an engagement gift, so it's quite old. We replaced the plates after about 10 years, but they're labeled. This one says lower and this one says upper to make sure you don't put the wrong one on on the wrong side. But you just snap the plates in like this. It comes with these, and it also comes with ones that have ridges for grill, like getting grill marks. And we use it a lot. So if you're doing like a panini, you could press it like this, but there's a little lever on the side that you push, and you push this and it flattens completely. So that's how I set it up for a griddle. But again, you could totally do this on the stovetop in like a cast iron skillet or a nonstick skillet. And I'm just going to preheat this while I'm making the batter to either medium high or 375. So this has a griddle kind of thermostat and then a grill panini one. So depending on which one you're using. So I'm going to click it over to griddle and 375. And it also comes with these little drip trays that you put on the corners. So like there's a little kind of a spout on the corner. And so if you have extra melted butter or anything, you just kind of stick this there and it catches. It saves your counter from making a mess. Okay, so while that's preheating, we'll make the batter for our French toast. And this would be great for Mother's Day brunch. Even if for your mom, a mother figure, a neighbor, a friend, or just we make it regularly just because it's delicious. So we're gonna add 4 eggs. I use large eggs. And again, if you have a larger loaf, like if I was gonna make this whole loaf, I'd probably double it because it's a little big. But so 4 eggs. I made this with the teenagers that I've been teaching cooking classes at my local library. I taught them how to make this the first week of this session, and it was a big hit. And I do have a variation of this on my site that's like an Elvis-style challah French toast, and it has peanut butter drizzled on and bacon and bananas. And I'm gonna, if you can you see this? I got like a it got a shell in there. You can see it floating over here. The best way to get it out is you take a piece of the shell and you just kind of scoop it. It helps like cling onto it better to come out. So 4 eggs. Oh, and for this griddle, if it's of interest to you, the light's red, and once it's preheated to the right temperature, it'll turn green. And I put a link to it in my Amazon shop. If anybody's looking for one, this thing's held up really well for a long time for us. We scratched the plates and had to replace them. And also, if you, like, I'm going to spray them with oil. I think this one I just have olive oil in here. But if you use some of the packaged nonstick sprays, they have silicone in them, and that can kind of gunk up the edges of your griddle plate and kind of makes it hard to clean. Like if you've ever had really, really tough time cleaning it, it could be because you've used something with silicone in it. I'm not saying it's good or bad, it makes it really difficult to clean. Okay, so 4 eggs in there and 2/3 of a cup of milk. Just gonna pop this back in the fridge. So this is a great one for kids to help with. My son loves making this. He loves eating it, obviously. Okay, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. And a 1/4 teaspoon of ground cinnamon. Where did I put it? There. And that's all that goes into the batter. It's really simple. You can even make this ahead of time, just this batter part. Try not to overflow everywhere. I'm gonna use my smaller whisk for this bowl. If you mix this together, you can just cover it and pop it in the fridge, and then it's ready. Not that it takes that much time, but you know, if you wanted to make a bigger batch of it or something and just have it on hand until you're ready to cook. And it's, you know, things like that for, especially if you're having like a big Mother's Day brunch or something. Hi, Rob. It's nice to have some stuff prepped ahead of time if you can. So I would do this ahead of time. You could also slice your challah like in the morning before you're ready to cook. You could slice it and pop it back in the bag and just seal the bag. That would be another thing you could do ahead of time to make it easier. Hi, Sandy. All right, so I'm going to get a bread knife. Just a serrated knife. I tried to find this particular one on Amazon, and I don't see it anymore. This was a Henkel's one, but I really like this offset style because when you're cutting and you get to the bottom, your fingers don't hit the cutting board, so it's pretty nice. I'm going to cut these about 1 inch thick, and it doesn't really matter. I like keeping them kind of consistent so they cook at about the same rate. So I'm just going to cut a couple at first so I can get some on the griddle, and then I'll cut the rest. But like you can see, like, look how it's like really fluffy, but it still like holds enough. So I'm going to, let's see. My light turned green, so this is ready. And what I like to do is I like to use a combination of oil and butter, cooking spray, whatever kind you like. Like I said, this one's just olive oil. You could use peanut oil, coconut oil, as long as it's not one that tastes a lot of like coconut, unless you don't mind that. So just do a light spray on there. And then I'm going to cut a little bit of butter. I just kind of take maybe like a teaspoon or so, and then I don't know how well you can see this, but I just pop it on here and just kind of rub it around with the spatula until it coats. And then again with this, the little drip tray catches any extra butter that rolls off, especially if your counters aren't completely even, or maybe your house is a little off kilter like ours. I think we're slowly kind of sinking off the hill, but hi, Amanda. So butter's melted on there. And then all you do is you take each piece of challah and you want to kind of soak it for about 4 or 5 seconds. You just kind of push it down into the mixture. You can see like all the cinnamon stuff floating in there. Flip it over another 4 or 5 seconds, just so it gets a good amount in there. And then you just hold it like this to let the extra drip off before you put it onto the griddle. And they take about 5 minutes per side, depending. What I usually do if I'm making a big batch of this, or more likely my husband's making it because he makes breakfast more often, like on the weekends, is I'll put my oven on a really low temperature, and then I line a cooking sheet, like a baking sheet, with a wire rack. And as the French toast comes off, I'll put it on that sheet in the oven so that it all stays warm without cooking more and without getting soggy until all of them are done. And then you can serve everybody at once. You and your delicious dairy laden yumminess. You could make this with almond milk or soy milk for sure. I'm gonna actually take out a sheet pan. So I just use, this is a half sheet pan and a metal rack. So as they come off, I'll put them on here, and I'll put my oven on. Mine has a warm setting, so I can just hit that, and you have either you have a low temperature for warm, and you just hit start. You could just go for maybe like 150 degrees or whatever the lowest temperature your oven goes to. And you don't have to use butter on the griddle, Amanda. You could use like, what's that, like Earth Balance or any of those. And if you can't have eggs, you could use an egg substitute. I think it would still work. So I'm going to continue cutting this. And one year, me and my cousin planned this big Mother's Day brunch at her house out in Indiana. I was visiting, and we had my whole family there. My grandma was there. You know, I only get to see them maybe like once a year, so it was really nice. We planned this huge menu, and we started cooking, and all of a sudden I was like, I'm not feeling well, like the day before, and I had the worst stomach bug I've ever had. I couldn't like hug anyone on Mother's Day. I had to like steer clear of everybody. But they pulled everything off. We made the I have on my website, there's brie waffle like skewers. They have strawberries and brie, and you make waffles, which you could make ahead of time. You could buy already made waffles and just like heat them up, and you cut them and you add pieces of strawberry and brie, and then serve it with maple syrup. And you can dust it with powdered sugar. Which do I have? Yeah. No. I usually have a little like container of powdered sugar with a shaker top, but I do have one in here. Just looks nice when you're like plating pancakes or waffles or crepes. We usually do crepes for Mother's Day. So let me bring you over so you can see what's going on. So you see a lot of bubbles going around the edges. I'll test one and see if it's ready to flip yet. I doubt it is, but not too bad. I'll probably let this one go for another minute or two. And then, but you can see it gets nice and golden on top. I've never held a laptop while flipping French toast before. So serving these, like I was saying, you could do, the bread has dairy. Is there no dairy-free? Oh, the challah. could you use, is there another type of loaf of bread that doesn't have, I know there's dairy-free bread. So my sister-in-law has, right now she's got some restrictions with nursing and she can't do dairy or eggs or soy, but we were able to find like some nice bread. You could use baguette, just check the ingredients, but you could maybe use a baguette and just slice it the same way. You might need to soak it a little, like a couple seconds longer, just not until it's falling apart, but so that it absorbs the mix. But I think you could still make it work. I imagine that's a first. Yeah. All right. Let me flip this guy. Ooh, yeah, that one looks good. Sometimes, ooh, that one's actually perfect. I was gonna say sometimes the top and the bottom cook at like a slightly different rate, but this one actually looks good today. So when I serve them, I like fresh berries, real maple syrup. Not as delicious as all. No, but some French toast is better than no French toast, right? Like I said, I have an Elvis style one on my site that it's got bacon on top and like chopped peanuts and peanut butter drizzle and sliced bananas. That's really good. And there's no dairy in bacon, Amanda. Yeah, so there's lots of different ways you could do it. You could do like whipped cream and sprinkles if you wanted to do, some people call it like a unicorn. But I think those are almost done. So I usually wait to dip more until the first batch comes off because I don't want it to be get soggy waiting. I'm late, but I'm wondering about a dairy challah. Most challah do not have dairy or should not have dairy. Oh, and Amanda Leslie is a pro. I've actually made challah with her. So this one, Amanda's from Stop and Shop. It's got enriched wheat flour, filtered water, sugar, egg yolks, soybean oil, fresh yeast, salt, might contain sesame seeds and poppy seeds. So Stop and Shop in Ossining has challah, no dairy. Leslie, you're amazing. I'm sure, hopefully that made Amanda's day. She lives in my town, so I know she can get that. All right, so I'll cook a little bit more, but just to show you, these look good. Bottom of that one still needs a little. But like, look how nice and golden. And it only really takes a couple minutes once you get it cooking. So the light on here went off, so I guess like the temperature dropped because when you put something cold on top of there, it takes the temperature down a little. So sometimes they'll take a little more time or a little less time depending how much action the griddle's getting. This would also be really good if you wanted to make like a Monte Cristo sandwich. That's like, what is that? I think it's ham and Swiss. Correct me if I'm wrong. Ham and Swiss cheese, grilled cheese, but instead of regular bread, you use French toast. Can't have the soy. Did I say there was? Oh yeah, soybean oil. I'm sure you can find a bread without, because I know, like I said, my sister-in-law can't have soy, and she was able to find bread in Georgia, with none of those things and no eggs, but challah. I don't know, Leslie, is there an egg-free challah? Is that possible? Can you use egg replacement when making? Hi, Michelle. Can you use an egg replacement when you're making challah, Leslie? I'm gonna plate a couple of these. Just so I can kind of show you what I would do, and I'll put some more on so they can continue cooking. This does hold up well left over in the fridge. You just reheat it in the oven. You can again put it on a baking sheet with a rack, because if you microwave it, it'll get pretty soggy. But if you put it in the toaster oven, it should be, I'm sorry. Oh, actually, a toaster oven, if you have one. I don't, but that would be good. But if you put it in your oven to reheat, it should work pretty well. that's what I'll end up doing with most of this since nobody else is home right now. And if your griddle looks like if there's not much oil and butter on there, between batches you can add a little more just to kind of give it a little more. And sometimes when you get to the bottom, like you can see there's not as much cinnamon on here. You could put a little more cinnamon in there if you wanted to. I do like how the flecks look. All right, so here's the 3 that are already cooked. To bring it out to the table, if I was going to be doing this for a group, let's see. Come on. I would just dust it with a little powdered sugar. And then add fresh berries. I like bananas on mine too, but my bananas aren't looking too ripe yet. So I feel like fresh berries, especially in the summer, is really nice if you can get local berries. Strawberries are great. And then I'll often take some real maple syrup and warm it up in a little container in the microwave. You can do it on the stovetop too, but just like a little bit in here, and I'll serve that alongside. And there you go, challah French toast, super easy. It's always a hit. You can use an egg replacer, yes. So there you go, Amanda. I hope you're able to find something that works so that you can try it. And if you need a recipe for challah, let me know. I know Leslie definitely has a really good one. Yeah, so here you go. I hope you guys enjoy if you make it. And happy Mother's Day to all the moms and mom-like people out there. And I will see you next week. Bye.